it was scary, but I think that the growth and the chaos gave you something to focus your energy on and kind of like
100%.
And
100%.
A lot of us, especially kind of the entrepreneurial ones in us, are just like, we're just going to find a way to get through this and make the best of a bad situation. And I think a lot of people did that, and a lot of people did find that success. Honest Ecommerce is a weekly podcast where we interview direct-to-consumer brand founders and leaders to find out what it takes to start, grow, and scale an online business today. Have you hit a wall with performance marketing on Facebook and Google? It might be time to think about where your next customers are spending their time online. That's where Realize comes in. Realize helps thousands of direct-to-consumer brands to tap into more ad placements across hundreds of premium websites, reaching audiences you just can't find on traditional social channels. With intent-based, contextually relevant ad placements, you can drive real conversions, not just impressions, and expand your acquisition strategy with better data, more control, and higher ROI. Realize helps you build high-performing AI-powered ad experiences backed by 17 years of data. And simple to set up, no bloated dashboards or complicated onboarding, so you can start scaling fast. You can also leverage your own first-party data to retarget people already in your funnel. So if you're ready to go beyond Facebook and Google and start reaching new audiences, head on over to discover.taboola.com/honest, and we can start the new year with a new performance channel. That's discover.taboola.com/honest, discover.taboola.com/honest. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Honest Ecommerce. Today I am welcoming to the show the Willy Wonka of the Midwest. I've got Dan Abel Jr. He's the Chief Chocolate Officer at two beloved St. Louis-based companies. We've got Chocolate Company and Bissinger's Handcrafted Chocolatier. Dan, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Chase.
I'm not gonna lie, I do love the Chocolate Company. That's just such a great name for a business.
Oh, me too. It's our baby. I mean, we've been around chocolate, my entire life, and then Bissinger's for 6 years now. So it's like having two kids and you don't have a favorite. You just love them both.
Absolutely. Now, I guess quickly for the audience that doesn't know, I know this because we've spoken before, but you've been in chocolate almost your entire life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my parents started Chocolate Company in 1981. And it was, for the first decade of my life or 15 years of my life, they were the two full-time employees. They had, they were involved in it. So we would help out on the weekends and we would talk chocolate at the dinner table. And it was everything. The family business and the family was intertwined in one.
That's amazing. And then obviously, if it's a family business, you're kind of always weaving and bobbing in and out and helping out. When did it become, all right, I think I'm going to take this more seriously. I'm going to start taking on more responsibility and I'm really going to help this thing grow? Yeah,
I really loved it from day one. I mean, if you go back to like my scrapbook from second grade of like, what do you want to be when you grow up? I wanted to be a candy maker. And my sister and brother got into the business later on. I don't know if they always wanted to go into it. They tried other things and really kind of all gravitated towards the business. But, for me, I wanted to be involved. We're helping my dad out wherever I could. So it was like, if sweeping the floor in the candy kitchen was the only job, and that got me in the kitchen, then I would do it. And then in high school, we started to work more in the retail stores and we started opening more locations. So it was kind of all hands on deck and let's collaborate and, everyone bring your ideas to the table and we'll see which one sticks. And then, definitely, college, I worked through the summers, and then post college, my dad was very clear with my sister and I. So we go to college 4 years, we come out, with a degree, and he said, here's $10 an hour. And if you want to make more money, you have to find, growth in the business, because we're not just going to go pay you the salary you want. And so that was a very strong motivator.
Absolutely. And I guess taking us back to then, post-college, what were some of those ways that you were trying to find growth in the business back then? Also, can we put a date on this just for the audience?
Yeah. So 2008. So great timing, right? Coming out of college, big market downturn. But you're fearless at that time. And I still feel fearless in a way. Like I didn't care. I was just like, whatever, we'll figure it out. And so right in 2008, the first three things. So it was there's a very strict rule. Like my dad didn't say like, oh, here's money to go open stores and play around and figure it out. It was, we're going to work with what we have. We're not going to put, major capital investment into the business. We have to grow into that. And so our things that we could do in our current operation, which was the candy kitchen at the time, connected to the main retail store, was e-commerce and wholesale, things we could have done from the main facility. And so we redid the e-commerce website, brought it to a kind of a newer technology of the 2008 technology at the time. And I learned HTML, I learned web design, I learned, how to connect a merchant account, everything from, some of it was night school and some of it was just tutorials. And then I set up our first e-com site. I did my first Google AdWords, and, we used to get coupons in the mail for Google, and I would apply them every time. Just like everything you could think of from just a bootstrapping mentality. And then for wholesale, we would just go out and knock on doors. We started the local tourist attractions, and it was literally cold calling, knocking on doors, but we had a hook. We would bring chocolate samples. So it wasn't just like an insurance salesman that wants to come and talk about healthcare or health insurance or property casualty insurance. I would always call it, my name is Dan Abel. I'm for Chocolate Company. And we'd love to bring you some chocolate samples for you to review, and see if they'd fit for you. And it was.
I want to pause this right there. And if you have a delicious company, I'm talking to you listeners, if you can and should be sampling your product to anyone you want to be a partner, be it wholesale or whatever, that's an immediate way to get more people to actually listen to you, even though they might be doing it just like, I'm not going to ignore this guy after I get this sample. But if the sample's pretty good, it does open a lot more doors.
I think so too. I mean, and fast forward to 2025, we're opening boutiques in new markets right now. We just came back from the Palm Beach, Florida opening. And I was asked the question the other day. They said, obviously you're very well known in St. Louis, and how does it work in these new markets? And I said, look, so we're just going to expect that nobody knows us, which people do because we have an online business and our wholesale business. But let's expect that every person that walks in the door has no idea who we are. And so we need to sample, and every customer that walks in the door, we need to offer a sample. We need to make sure that store is beautiful and, well merchandised and cleaned. And we need to make sure that the packaging is exceptional. And so we have to work twice as hard in a new market. But I absolutely love that, the challenge on it, because if you work twice as hard in a new market, then your existing market does twice as good, because it reaps the benefits of that. So I felt that way in 2008, and I feel it's the exact same, business model we have in new retail boutiques in 2025.
I think with products like food, where they typically lend to a higher margin and you can't afford the sampling. I had a gentleman on the podcast about a year ago, and it's driving me crazy that I can't remember his name. But he thinks since starting the business that he had sampled over 1 million cups of his coffee between the various places where he has done events. And he almost attributes that to why his company is successful. It's just boots on the ground, getting people to experience the coffee, to talk about the coffee, and start winning people over one at a time.
Yeah. And so we could talk about, an e-commerce customer acquisition cost. Mm-hmm. And I guarantee it's significantly higher than giving them a free sample of coffee.
Yeah.
Significantly higher. I would go, if I can go give everyone a free chocolate truffle, I don't have to, do Google AdWords anymore. I don't have to do meta market, So from that perspective, the sampling perspective is worth its weight in gold.
Running an e-commerce business means wearing a lot of hats: founder, marketer, customer service, logistics, and let's be honest, sometimes even therapist. But one thing you shouldn't have to stress about: business insurance. That's where Next Insurance comes in. Next is built specifically for small businesses, including e-commerce brands, making it simple to get the right coverage entirely online in just minutes. Whether you sell handmade candles, athletic wear, or subscription boxes, Next helps protect you from the unexpected, from product liability to shipping mishaps and everything in between. And here's the best part. You can save up to 30% on your business insurance and get peace of mind for as low as $1 per day, knowing Next has your back. With transparent pricing, flexible plans, and instant certificates of insurance, Next gives you the confidence to focus on what matters most: growing your store. So if you're ready to protect your business while scaling your brand, head over to nextinsurance.com/honest to get covered today. That's nextinsurance.com/honest. nextinsurance.com/honest. Some of the growth levers that you were pulling back in 2008 were wholesale and e-commerce.
Mm-hmm.
Let's kind of fast forward a bit from there. What were kind of like some of the wins in kind of in the 2010s and maybe some of the learnings within those times?
Yeah, absolutely. So e-commerce we set up, and as you know, it's about getting the product on there, getting everything set. There's a lot of front loading, and then you kind of just let it run. Of course, you have to feed it with advertising and marketing. But so once we front loaded that and spent a lot of time getting the e-commerce site up and running, and then the seasonal pages built out, we then started to go knock on doors for wholesale. And quite frankly, wholesale, which was at $0 at the time or very little, exploded. I mean, it was not easy. And we started with every tourist attraction in town. And then we made some really good friends because the buyer at this tourist gift shop knew this tourist gift shop, and they loved it. And they said, "Oh, you've got to call so-and-so." And, some people got their cell phone out right in the middle of the meeting and said, "Tommy, I need you to, Dan really wants to come out and bring samples by. I just tried it. It's amazing." So that was we had so many wins, and, the people that helped us out in the beginning, they did more for us than they can ever imagine. That $200 sale they got us gave us the confidence to go to the next one, because you hear no so much, and it just is, fresh out of college, you're young, and the difference between doing something for 10 years or 30 years, that experience kind of hardens you a little bit. But when you're fresh, it stings. Every no you take really personally. And so kind of the help we got from a few buyers was really good. And then we had our first out of town customer that I remember, and that was like this oh my gosh factor. Like, how do we even ship the product? Like, do we have a UPS account set up? And like all of these things. And I was like, we can do it. We'll figure it out. And of course, I think half of it arrived damaged, and the customer called us, so we reshipped it for free. And it was, it was a really good education on how to ship product very successfully. And then we did it again and, packed it better, insulated it better. And then we figured it out. So I said, okay, let's go find the next one, because St. Louis is an amazing market, but the whole country is in an even, bigger market. And it came down to a trade show now. And we've done a lot of trade shows, and some of our trade shows have become, major investments, $20,000-$30,000 between airfare and the booth rental and the hotel and product sampling and whatnot. But the first one was $1,000. And that was the hardest I've had to work to convince my parents to go spend this $1,000 on this trade show. It was up in Philly at the time. It was a regional candy show, and it was a little bit more than $1,000 because you still had airfare and hotel. So say it was $2,500 net for everything. I've never had to work so hard. I mean, I can write a business plan with my eyes closed now because of how I was able to sell them on that one.
And you're saying it was hard to get the buy-in from
the family,
the team, to go to this event. Now, I'm assuming that there is. I'll just let you continue.
So it was. I mean, I had become a self-taught Photoshop, and I did some night school. So I designed the banner and the art. I did the photos. I designed the banner. I had them printed. I built the fixtures for the booth. I shipped it all up, put it together, flew up. I think my dad and sister went with me. So the three of us in this booth. And then it was it looked good. But when I look back today, I'm like, oh my gosh, the first trade show, it's like if you see the original Jeff Bezos, picture of him with a sign in a small office, and it just said Amazon written in a Sharpie. That's how we found our first trade show was. But we gained customers, and it's a thrill. I mean, it really is. It was a thrill at the time because we left with no customers or one or two customers out of state, and we came back with orders. We came back with more orders than, more orders and value than the cost of the show. And I was just like, let's find the next trade show. Let's find the next, and so to me, it was like a drug. And that's always been my drug is the growth and this, the next sale and the next sale. And And meanwhile, ecom was just kind of in the background. Like we kept, I'd spend 20, 30 minutes a day tweaking it. And then the orders would come in and, someone in the warehouse would pick and pack them and we continuously making them. But it was, very big at the holidays, but it trickled in where these wholesale orders were these $500 and $1,000 hits at a time. And it was unbelievable. And that's what built the whole business, was the wholesale expansion.
Hey, everybody, just a quick reminder. Please like this video and subscribe if you haven't. We're releasing interviews like this every week, so don't miss out. Now back to the interview. I always talk on these shows about the power of going not only to trade shows, but to conferences, right? And so the way that I kind of see it in my head is like conferences are kind of education based and trade shows are straight up sales based. People there's buyers there looking to spend money and there are sellers there looking to sell stuff. And so when you find those kind of trade shows that really align with your product and where people will be buying things for your ICP at the end of the day, like you should be there as long as you've got a validated concept, like you should be in those rooms.
Oh, yeah. And we probably did 6 a year at the peak. I worked them, and then usually we would have a client dinner. There usually would be an event, and it's a business card exchange. And I mean, it was 7 a.m. to 10 p.m., 3-4 days in a row. And then you had to take the thing down and, ship it back and either fly home or drive home, depending on the location. It was tough. It was tough work. And, that's that they always talk about the blood, sweat, and tears that built the business. That was the trade shows at the time.
I have been in business for nearly 20 years, and very few companies I have hired in that time have performed as well as Electric Eye. They have knowledgeable staff, and our project was delivered on time and on budget. Electric Eye has exceeded my expectations, and I look forward to working with them again. That is a direct quote from one of our clients at Electric Eye. Electric Eye is a Shopify Plus partner that has helped over 100 brands migrate, redesign, and optimize their stores since 2016. If you'd like to increase your conversion rate, average order value, and revenue per session, we are the true Shopify experts you've been looking for. Right now, we're offering a free diagnostic to qualified brands that reach out and mention the podcast. Visit electriceye.io today to schedule a call and send us a message. Find out why we have over 50 5-star reviews in the Shopify partner directory. Again, that's electriceye.io, electriceye.io. If you sell big, bulky, oversized products on Shopify, I'm talking saunas, reformers, ping pong tables, exam tables, you know the pain. Your cart can't automatically show the real price to deliver that product. So maybe you guess a flat rate for your shipping, or there's that obnoxious email us for a quote button, and the buyer just doesn't purchase. That's why Fright built the world's first solution to make merchants' checkouts freight ready for heavy goods. Quote less, ship more. With Fright installed on your Shopify store, your customers see the true cost of shipping, including options for white glove or curbside, lift gates, appointments, even taxes, duties, and tariffs, all automatically calculated for any buyer anywhere in the world. Behind the scenes, Fright books the carrier, generates the bill of landing, dispatches, tracks, and writes the actual shipping costs back to the order, so finance isn't staring at a $0 line item. Prefer to offer free shipping domestically? Go for it. Fright automates the operation behind the scenes. Sell in other countries without local fulfillment facilities or distributors. Ship direct to consumer from your warehouse or even from your factory with accurate landed costs and reliable delivery times at checkout. Quote less and ship more with Fright. Make big and bulky finally buyable on Shopify. Act now to get your store ready for the new year. The first 50 listeners to set their stores up with Fright will actually have Fright cover the first $500 in shipping costs on your orders. Act now to get your store ready for 2026. To take them up on that offer, go to freightright.com/honest. That's FREIGHTRIGHT.com/HONEST to get your free customized quote and start selling your best sellers around the world. Visit freightright.com/honest today. That's freightright.com/honest. You've alluded to it a bit here that e-commerce was kind of on autopilot this whole time. And wholesale is really what built the business. And then there was, I know this, but there was like a shift at a certain point.
Yes.
Is this a good time to kind of pivot?
Over the years, we have, our focus has changed only because we really try to follow what the market, the consumer wants. So we built our wholesale business up where we built this, big factory. And then we started getting some really big customers that were ordering, $1,000 orders. I still love $1,000 orders, but like everything was $1,000 orders or $500 orders. And then we were getting $100,000 orders and $250,000 orders from big department stores. And some of it was branded product. Some of it was private label, but it allowed us to continuously reinvest into the business. And, so automated equipment, high-speed wrapping equipment, chocolate production lines, some of them are $500,000, $1 million a piece. And so it's hard to do unless you have, deep financing, which we don't. So everything, we do is we finance in turn. We don't have any outside investors. And so as a big customer comes on board and says, hey, we would like to take this little chocolate square and, 25 million of them next year individually wrapped. So we'd give them the price. And then as that revenue comes in, we buy the wrapping line to support it. And then not only can we run their product on it, we can run, our product on it. And so we really built out the entire infrastructure of the factory on this big growth trajectory. So we were never, taking and banking the money. It was always continuously reinvesting for the future. And we were, my brother, sister, and I were all young, fresh out of college. And so it was just this nonstop grind. Well, as that matured, we built this big infrastructure and this big business. And we were actually at a trade show, a national show in San Francisco, when we found out that the other company in St. Louis was for sale. And it was in the morning of the trade show, and that was a Saturday. This show started on a Sunday, and by Tuesday afternoon, I was in conversations with the ownership, trying to work a deal out, and they were very much like, well, we're not ready to have a deal over the phone, because they were back in St. Louis still, and we were in San Francisco. And I said, okay, well, fine. We get back Tuesday night. How's Wednesday morning? And they're like, no, we need a little bit more time. We're putting together everything. And so it was Bissinger's, and I just thought that it was such a great fit for us. And, it's just a lot of former candy makers and staff from Bissinger's came over to our company over the years. And we really believed in, crafting handmade chocolates, and Bissinger's really believed in crafting handmade chocolate. So just the two fit so well. And I was definitely like the cheerleader for the family. Like, we have to make this transaction, because it's the next great thing for us to do. And I feel like we've been training our entire lives for this. And, so it started there. 2019, all of 2019 was either negotiating the sale of the company, buying the company, or moving the company. And then they were like the first chocolate cataloger in the United States. So started early 70s, started printing a chocolate catalog, which the chocolate catalog has become a lot of names over the years. It's been called mail order, it's been called catalog, now it's kind of umbrellaed in direct to consumer. So our catalog is we still print and produce 7 catalogs a year, but it really is kind of a catalyst to, bring people to the e-commerce website. And without, their former marketing team had left in the transition. So by myself, with our team, I had to learn how to make a catalog for Thanksgiving, just 60 days into the ownership of the company. And we were excited to pull it off. And then we had to do the Christmas catalog, and we were excited to pull that off. And then in January of 2020, I took this sigh of relief and said, we just integrated this company. We had a great Christmas. The consumers at the retail stores and online were happy. We didn't really upset anybody with we didn't really make any mistakes. I said, now I feel like we can actually go and do what we wanted to do, is really go build this wholesale business up. And, and then the catalog business was kind of just there. It wasn't the primary focus. It was the secondary, because we really thought the Bissinger's wholesale division was going to be the biggest growth trajectory. So we go out to that big national trade show again in San Francisco, and we met a lot of people and a lot of excitement with the new products we launched for Bissinger's. And we get back to St. Louis, and we hear on the news that the state of Illinois has decided to shut down and have a shelter in place because of a new virus coming over from China. And the rest is history. And so everything changed the day we got back from that trade show. And we realized that we are not in the wholesale business at this point of our life anymore. Because the department stores and some of our biggest accounts had to close temporarily, of course. It's sad. I had shipped in pallets of Easter product to a retailer, and they had to destroy it all because they were closed all the way through June or July. So what did work was e-commerce. And I kind of dipped my toe in the e-commerce, learning how to do a catalog and working on our website. But literally 6 of the 10 hours a day that I'm at work went to dedicated to that website. And I learned, I think, 2 years worth of education in like 6 weeks.
And now, was this for both Chocolate and Bissinger's? It
was for both, but I would say 95% of the revenue was coming through Bissinger's because they had the customer service team in place already. They had a mail order system in place. They had the catalog customer. They had tens of thousands of customers already in e-commerce. We doubled that in 2020 and then have grown it since then. But it was, chocolate.com was a small business that got a little bit bigger, but still small. Bissingers.com was a good size. It was a 7-figure model that got a lot bigger.
Absolutely. Let's talk about some of those things that you did during the pandemic, that the right choices, if you made any wrong choices, but like, how did you sustain the growth? Because I know a lot of businesses had great success during the pandemic just because their product aligned with some of the, it was basically Maslow's hierarchy of needs at that point.
Yes.
But some of them didn't sustain that growth, and some have gone out of business because of bad bets they made during that growth.
It was right around Easter, and everybody shut down. So Easter is such a traditional holiday, and I would assume that if you go get Easter candy, you're probably going to get it locally. Like, you may have your favorite chocolatier that you buy, corporate gifts for, but you may buy your family or kids or whoever Easter bunnies from your local chocolatier. All of those retail stores, those independent retailers across the country, we had to close, including our own boutiques in St. Louis. And we were out there with chocolate Easter bunnies and, carrot cake petit fours and all our entire Easter line online, ready to go. And our marketing team said, we can increase our Google ad spend and we can increase our Meta ad spend to get, more customers. You can send out emails. And so our stores were closed. Our managers came in and worked the phones. The truffle decorating team and the candy, everyone went to making chocolate Easter bunnies. I helped out in the warehouse shipping orders. I mean, I was putting bows on Easter baskets and everything I could, because we grew the Easter business. We added $1 million extra of business in 5 weeks. And it was insane because everybody was closing and people were like, do you have chocolate Easter? I mean, it was like, I felt like we were selling a black market item. Like, do you have the bunnies? Do you have the stuff? And we're like, we're making them from 4 a.m. because chocolate bunnies, it's a lot of massive chocolate. So it's 15 ounces, our large one. So it has to cool. And, for liquid chocolate, when you're molding it, each round of bunnies takes an hour. So you can't just press a button and go make 10,000 more bunnies. Like, it takes, there's a cooling time, and I couldn't go to, Germany and get more molds within 2 weeks. So we had to work with what we could. And so we just put more hours into it. And of course, we're learning social distancing at the time. So we took the middle of our production lines. And for example, we used to do factory tours. We had to suspend factory tours for 3 months. So we took the tour routes and set up chocolate bunny making stations in factory tour routes, because we suspended. And it was like the most fun chaos ever. Like, the chaos, it was scary in a way, because, we were like, well, what if someone gets sick? But every day it was like this adrenaline, like, okay, let's figure this out. And let's, it's like pack boxes of chocolates at our retail stores because the retail stores have to close and we have retail, so everything was kind of this adventure to get product out the door. But when that ended, I was, March of 2020 or April 2020, Easter was over. I was like, oh my gosh, it's over. I hope that cash injection that we got will sustain us through the summer, because we just bought this company. We have more debt. We have more employees. I don't want to lay anyone off. We were really dealing with these big decisions in real time. And I was nervous. We hadn't talked to our bank yet. The PPP money, all of that hadn't been talked about yet. So we were just trying to figure out, what are we going to do? But then all of a sudden, a week goes by and the phones go quiet, but they just start exploding again, because families siblings and kids. No one wanted to go see their mother on Mother's Day because they didn't want to infect their mother with this potential virus. So our Mother's Day box chocolate business exploded. And the gift messages for like, sorry, we couldn't come visit. Here's a box of Bissingers, as a gift. So we were making truffles and, caramels around the clock and satisfying, trying to bring comfort to, fix a Mother's Day that went, bad. And so that in such a small way, we made, Mother's Day of 2020 a little bit better for the bad situation that people inherited because they were, well, what if we're asymptomatic? What happens if we infect our, so they would send a box of Bissingers instead. And so we were there for them on that. And then it kind of rolled into summertime and we just kept, we would send our photographer like different products. We're like, hey, we think this is a great new product. Let's take a photo and put it online, send an email out, see if it works. And we just got really creative. And I think because we supported customers in such a way in Easter and through Mother's Day, and we did the same through Father's Day, that the customer base that that came to us in 2020 and 2021, they haven't left us. And where other brands had that COVID, direct to consumer surge, but then they went back to their other brand that they would get in brick and mortar or locally because there was like no emotional connection that they had to the brand, in that process.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. There was definitely some learnings to be had by everybody on that. It's something you said that I kind of agreed with, though. It was like during that time, it was scary, but I think that the growth and the chaos gave you something to focus your energy on and kind of like
100%.
And
100%.
A lot of us, especially kind of the entrepreneurial ones in us, are just like, we're just going to find a way to get through this and make the best of a bad situation. And I think a lot of people did that, and a lot of people did find that success. Now, fast forward to now, obviously, pandemic is behind us, and you said that you have kind of kept that relationship with those customers. There are a lot of folks listening now that definitely they probably had a decent pandemic as well. You mentioned, email marketing, obviously, things like that. But what would, if you were at a dinner with another e-commerce brand owner and they're like, so what's your kind of marketing, not the play by play, but like what's your overarching marketing strategy for the direct to consumer business these days in 2025?
We did everything, and it was all about continuously reinvesting into the brand. And so from 2020 to where we're at today, we started text marketing. And that, it still is well today, but it was definitely much stronger 2020, 2021, and 2022. We created a Bissinger's mobile app. So you can download the app on your iPhone. You can literally click on a product. And if you have Apple Pay enabled, you can, buy something and ship it to yourself in like 10 seconds. It's actually scary fast. So the mobile app, was developed, and that's still at about 10 to 12% of our entire e-com business comes from the app now. So it's a big part of our world. We did a complete overhaul of our website. So we scrapped our order management system. We scrapped our ERP system. We scrapped our e-com provider and started over with everything. So we went to the Shopify platform, and then NetSuite for our new ERP system, and then integration tools to integrate it. So if you place an order and say you're an email or text subscriber, right away you get an email that confirms your order. When it ships, you get tracking. When it gets to your door, which is great because we're a perishable product most of the time, and a lot of times it's hot outside. You get a text the second it's delivered. And I've had people tell me like, oh my gosh, I got a text the second it was delivered. I went to my front door and got it out of the heat. So we're connected so much more with our tech stack. And literally we threw everything out to try to make it more customer focused. We put multiple level shipping in, so you can order 5 gifts at one time and do multi-ship. We just continuously shop our own site, did complete, packaging overhaul and new photography. And we're trying to get from that point A to point B in real time, because back in the day, it was just like we were on a platform, and whatever the platform did, however it acted, all we could do is put our logo and our products on it.
Yeah.
Now we just build everything out. We take these really great enterprise systems and then build everything out and customize it as needed. And so from where we started to where we're at today, and then I'll try anything. Like my marketing team is always like, hey, there's this new, whatever. I'm like, yeah, let's throw a couple $1,000 at it and see. And then we have this really good attribution measuring tool now that we measure everything in real time. And so we can monitor and see if there's conversion. And if there is, we just throw more money at it. If there's not, we just pull the plug. So I'm very, I don't think what we did yesterday is going to be necessarily what's successful tomorrow. There are some things that will be, but like we're going back to catalog prospecting of the 90s has been successful for Bissingers. And who would have thought that was something in 2025? So we're doing a big catalog prospecting campaign because it was very successful in the post-COVID days. It was successful in 2023 and 24.
That's amazing. Now, is there anything I didn't ask you about that you think would resonate with our audience?
I always believe that you need to be really hands on the business. And I was just interviewed by someone yesterday on a radio show, and someone I really like, and he's just a good guy. And he came in and he made candy with us for the day, and they did a sampling. And so he's been in the candy kitchen a few times. And his comment to me was that he's like, I met your brother and I saw you, and like you guys live in your business. You live in your factory, and your brother's stirring a kettle and you're down on the production line. And he goes, I don't know. I just thought like business owners go down on yachts and count their money. And he goes, I actually just, that'd be fun. But like, I love being, like I start my morning with a standing call with our retail team. Then I talk to our shipping department. Then I, hear what's going on with customer service. And I literally review every single complaint and comment. And then I just try to take all that data. And so my biggest advice I can give is just live in your business. And if you're an e-commerce company, connect, analyze the data. If you're making the product, be on the production floor. If you're shipping the product, be with your team and shipping. I mean, we do 3 a.m. starts. My brother, sister, and I go help the warehouse team at the holidays from Thanksgiving to Christmas. We get in there at 3 a.m., work till 7, and then go do our 7 to 5, normal office schedule. And that takes adrenaline. But it really, you see where the product is shipping, you see how we're packing the orders, and sometimes you find better ways to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I was able to speed up our shipping. I mean, one year in COVID, we had so many gifts that our gift printer could not keep up, because it used to be like 25% of our orders had a gift message. COVID, everybody was sending a gift. It was 70%. So we would just handwrite gift cards for people, because that was the gift card printer was slowing down the order process. And so we would have the gift card printer running, and then we would have a team of 3 people just sitting in the warehouse, handwrite the gift message on a card for people just to get the pick ticket in the gift card, to the order pickers faster.
Was that a situation? Who has the nicest handwriting here?
Oh, for sure. Our quality manager helped out because she had great, and so that's probably something she never thought she'd be signed up for. But it was like, and the only way we would have figured that out is we were on the floor. We were learning the process. And so that's my biggest advice. And I think that you'll find the path once if you're inside the business. If you're 1,000 feet in the air, it's really hard to see the fine details.
Absolutely. Now, for the listeners that do enjoy themselves some chocolate, where should they go? What should they do? We
have a lot of great options, either Bissingers.com, chocolatechocolate.com, or if for Bissingers, we're in all the Barnes & Nobles nationwide. And we have retail stores here in St. Louis. But we're also excited that we're opening new flagship boutiques across the country. So this year, we just opened our store in Palm Beach, Florida. In a few weeks, we're about to open the store in Nashville. And then we're opening the mothership location in Manhattan at the Macy's Herald Square department store on 34th Street this October as well.
That's amazing, Dan. Thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thanks so much for having me.